Well, for more on this, we're joined by Jenny Town. She is a senior fellow at the Stimson Center. Thanks very much for being with us. Now, on this whole issue of weapons that North Korea may be supplying to Russia to bolster its war efforts in Ukraine, how much of a difference will that make? Is it more of a stopgap measure? Because analysts are saying that these weapons are quite old, and there's a limit to how much of a stockpile North Korea really has.
Well, I think that's an open question of whether any arms deals is for the stockpiles themselves, or whether there's something deeper here going on where, the North Koreans are saying that they can manufacture more. They certainly have a pretty wide infrastructure in their military industry to be able to manufacture more artillery, more munitions at a relatively quick pace, especially if they're given raw materials to work with and energy provision to really fuel those factories and stuff. So they could potentially carry on for a while as long as the war carries on, and provide some assistance for Russia to be able to prolong their war fighting.
And the news that, according to state media, the Russian president has accepted an invitation to North Korea. This would indicate that this is a relationship that is certainly developing now. What are the risks and the benefits of this for North Korea?
Well, I think it's very low risk for the North Koreans. Regardless of any kind of threats of new sanctions, there's already a lot of sanctions on North Korea. They're very good at evading sanctions, and sanctions are only as good as the implementation. And so if countries like Russia and China, which are key to implementing sanctions in the future, if they're not on board, there's not a lot of teeth there. So, this is very low political risk. That's very high reward for the North Koreans. They are guaranteed to get something out of it. The idea that, Putin's willing to meet with Kim Jong-un twice in a very short time frame, and have such open displays of cooperation in sanctioned areas such as space cooperation and satellite cooperation. This seems to indicate, it really implies that there is something deeper here, that the Russians do expect a pretty substantial contribution from the North Koreans, even if we don't have those details yet.
And how concerning is all of this for the West? I mean, the United States, for its part, has said that this is a sign of desperation on the part of Putin. But should they also be concerned, particularly as far as the war in Ukraine?
Well, absolutely. There's a lot of concern, and there's been a lot of warnings leading up to this not to go down this route, and that there will be consequences to going down this route. I think it really does show how few options Russia does have right now, though, that the idea that they're willing to do an arms deal, they're willing to engage the North Koreans at this level, again, on sanctioned activities, blatantly open to the public view that they're having this kind of cooperation. But it will prolong it will prolong Russia's effort to continue fighting the war in Ukraine. It will, agitate relations, between Russia, NATO, and North Korea and NATO nations. And I think as North Korea has been opening, they've also signaled wanting to reestablish some of the talks, especially with the European countries. That is unlikely to happen now. But I think it will also cause countries like South Korea to recalculate how they play into any efforts into helping defend Ukraine going forward.
Good to talk to you, Jenny Town. Thanks for being with us.